Good morning, Professor. Good morning, class. This is David Maxwell, otherwise known as Maxie, and I'm trying to get my assignment done here at work. What's interesting about this spot that I'm sitting in right now, it's one of our break rooms at American Airlines, which is not that far from what used to be the Abington Plantation, which was purchased by the Custis family, which were the grand children of George Washington, which of course is straight down the GW Parkway and not too far from where I live. So just a little side note, and I thought that was interesting to do it in this break room. That's more closer to colonial times, if you were. Um, so yeah, based on the assignment, I think that comparing the two, Payne and Jefferson, the languages there was a lot of similar points with these two founding fathers brought with looking at the Declaration of Independence and Payne's Common Sense. I think I had to read Payne's Common Sense in another class here at Liberty for my undergraduate degree. Uh, Payne, I thought his rhetoric, the way he wrote about government was a little bit more angry compared to the language and the flowing English that Jefferson used. Payne was pretty direct. For example, right off in the beginning of Common Sense, government was produced by people's wickedness. And I thought that was interesting because he goes on later to say that it's a necessary evil, that government, it represented a fallen people. So different from the type of language that Jefferson would use, when Jefferson um, would use less religious language, but the ideals and the mores behind what Jefferson was saying was very religious, such as a just society, a just people. Uh, Payne went right at it and used the comparisons from a fallen kingdom, from the original sin of Adam and Eve to the wickedness of people and having a government that is a necessary evil. I thought that was a really interesting point, and but yet he does go on to say that we need government to manage people, but the best sort of government, and one of the other points is that a simple government is what works the best. So a simple government is good because when things go wrong, it is easy to change. And he goes on to talk about Parliament and the House of Lords, the House of Commons, and the King, and the evils of each, and how one is created to put the other in check. And later, when we go on to see the United States, the first early government, and our Congress, that we have a similar setup with the House of Representatives and the Senate, very similar to the House of Lords, although the House of Lords inherit their power. The House of the senators are elected just like the representatives, the House of Representatives. But Jefferson's language, with all men being created equal in the preamble, is and they're endowed by the Creator with certain inalienable human rights that are among these a life, liberty, and a pursuit of happiness. So, to me, he speaks of the Creator creating these inalienable human rights, which is on the side. It's a moral side, which again, I talked a little bit more about it with my Whitfield post, but these ideas of being on the side of justice, to being on the side of a moral majority in the colonies, is the language that Jefferson was using in the Declaration of Independence, where I think Payne directly attacked the establishment, which was the Parliament, the government of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland. And the other point that Jefferson makes is that men derive just powers from consent of those governed. So, what does that mean exactly? It's similar to the point where there's a necessary evil that Payne made, right? But Jefferson is saying that just power comes from the people rather than it being a necessary evil. So it's more, I believe Jefferson's language was a little less harsh, saying not that we're all produced from wickedness, but if you go back religiously, we are. Uh, and is also the responsibility of the people to throw off such government when it becomes too unmanageable. So there's a responsibility of the people to rebel when it's needed. I think with each of these points, Jefferson and Payne would agree, but it's the language they use to make these points when forming this new government, which needed to be formed since they were a new nationality, a new people, and a new government to run these people. Although uh, the language and the points were very similar, they were different in their philosophies. Where I believe Paine was more direct, more angry, and Jefferson was more. Um, his language that he used is a little bit more easier on the ear, you might say, for the time period. But the point was, they both agreed that we needed a new form of government that was run by the people and for the people, uh, based on the morality, based on morals, and based on a just cause. Uh, I hope this fulfilled my requirements for the class. Again, I'm apologize for being late, and goodbye from the Abington Plantation, otherwise known as DCA. Thank you.